So for how long in total does the average couple give each other the cold shoulder every year? The answer is 10 days.
You're watching The Right Stuff. Thank you for that. We're live on 5 with Natalie Pinkham, David Ian and Ben Miller. Still to come, kids are prolific artists. Everyone knows that. But what should parents do with the great works their sprogs produce? Should they frame them, stick them on the fridge, send them to relatives, no thanks, by the way, or burn them in front of them? 0207 173 5555 is the number for your calls. Guy Fawkes? Which is a Catholic I'm always really offended by, just so you know. First, right now, in fact, are couples who row by not talking better or worse off than those who scream blue murder? I mentioned earlier the Sunday Express column, which carried a letter from a wife who'd stopped speaking to her husband following a row over housework, only to find they still had exchanged as much as a word 6 months later. Even they're both stubborn, she wrote. Needlessly, she felt the time had come for a truce and wanted help restarting communications, but without admitting defeat. Don't worry about losing face, agony aunt Jane O'Gorman replied. Get some counselling. How does Jane O'Gorman get this job? Anyway, get counselling. As we heard a moment ago, the average couple spends 10 days a year wallowing in silence after a bust-up. That is an average of 2 arguments a week, followed by 2¼ hours of no talking. That's time enough to allow things to calm down, but 6 months of it. How can you live with someone for that long without speaking to them, even if it's just to check you fed the cat? Lovely. I can remember one long silent row I had back in the oh-so-happy days of my own marriage. Truth be told, a day or two into it, I couldn't remember what I was upset about, but I made damn sure I wouldn't admit to that. Psychologists say it's unhealthy for your relationship to go much beyond 24 hours of silence, so are couples who don't speak for days or weeks at a time destined for divorce. Bill and Hillary Clinton, they're still married, and rumour has it she sent him to the American equivalent of Coventry for 8 months after he didn't have sex with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. Silent couples, any of you do the silent treatment?
Well, I'm a little bit of a sulker, I must be honest. I mean, Tracy, my wife, no, she's great. She sort of talks it through and you know, and will address the issue. I tend to sort of go on the silent treatment. But I've got to be honest, for a day, maybe max. I mean, I wake up the following morning, I can't remember what it was about, and my mood has changed.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's hard
I think
to remember.
Sulking for a day is one thing. 6 months, I think it's time to call it a day and say you're in the wrong relationship. Get out. I mean, not get counselling, get out.
Yeah, exactly. You would do a much better job as an agony aunt. And what were you saying, Natalie?
I think it's important to vent, so I think communication is everything, but I'm a chatterbox. But I do think keep the channels of communication open at all costs. I never go to sleep on an argument.
That's the Nagger's Charter, isn't it? Don't you not talk to me. I haven't finished yet. We need to clear the air.
I am a bit of a nagger. No, but also,
You're a woman, you don't need to tell us that. I already made that assumption. Shut up! You don't like it, go somewhere else.
And I also think that because my boyfriend knows I won't go to sleep on an argument, he'll give me the silent treatment because he knows I'll be the one to go, come on.
This is interesting, so, because I will admit to the silent treatment as well. Do you do the silent?
Well, you know, I've changed my... I've been trying to change my habits in this recently because I did used to think it was bad to argue, and I've recently come round to the idea that it's actually good to have an argument. I mean, they do say that the couples that stay together are the ones that never argue or the ones that argue frequently. And you know, I think that I have got a tendency to sulk, definitely. I think maybe that's a male thing.
I was going to say, is it a male thing? Because, I mean, you go back... Well, if you turn the clock back a few years, you know, you got a good slap, girls. That's how an argument was settled. The man was right, you are our chattel, you're supposed to cook and clean, and if you haven't done a very good job of it, you've got a slap. Right? Only some people...
man clapping.
Wow.
But it does make me wonder that if we've evolved, that perhaps the men don't know how else to express themselves, and so we just...
I think that's the thing. I think men do struggle to express themselves, and women constantly talk to their mates. Chat, vent.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think there's lots of women very capable of, as we see from the story, of meeting out their son.
Letter.
Yeah.
Not him.
She still hasn't spoken for 6 months.
Her husband's in the next room while she's writing the letter. You know, I mean, you know... I just think that it's such a potent thing, the silent treatment, isn't it? Because it's all of us have got this basic need to communicate with one another, and it's the ultimate power play is to deny somebody
I think that's
intimacy.
The thing.
It's a big.
It stops becoming about what the argument was about, and it becomes about I'm not going to be the first one to crack.
Yes, which is the whole point of this lady's letter.
Are all relationships power struggles? That's the other thing that I wonder. Is there always one person is like vying? You know, it changes, I think, all the time. But there are.
And if we're losing, we sulk.
Yeah.
It's a really good question. We've explored before that if you had a totally equal couple, it would be really, really boring because you would actually have nothing to work towards or against. And you certainly have very dominant relationships where one person rules the roost and somebody's quite subservient along, and vice versa. And maybe the happy medium is somewhere in between the two. Let's throw it open to you. Silent types, unite. Kirsty, what do they say?
First, we've got Susan on line 2.
Susan, good morning.
Hello, good morning to you all. How are you?
Very well. Can I guess it's your other half that's the silent type? We're testing this theory.
Yes, he's so silent that I can't hear him.
You can't hear him when he's silent?
Well, we've lived abroad for many, many years.
Right.
And he was silent there. And then I decided not to go back to Saudi. And he's there, and he only comes home 3 times a year. And when he comes home, he's silent.
Can I put on my O'Gorman hat here, Susan? What's the point of the relationship?
Well, I would say that too, because I'm a highly intelligent, vibrant woman, and I have everything to live for, and I love him very much, but I think it's extremely sad, and I would say something to you that I am 52, and I'm very happy with my age, but a lot of us out there are going through this.
But why, Susan? Why? I mean, it's like the lady writing in for advice there. If you haven't spoken to your partner in the lady writing the Sunday Express case for 6 months, and you're seeking advice about how to initiate some kind of conversation, I mean, in the back of my mind, I think, well, why bother initiating one form of communication?
But on me, he says to me that I have Spanish in my blood, which I have, and I'm very proud of that. And I have Italian in my blood, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm fiery and vibrant and a beautiful woman. And I'm talking about the other women out there, and I don't know what it is. I've got a new man, and I don't understand them anymore.
But Susan, it's better to be single than lonely in a marriage. I mean, and it seems to me that... I think so, yeah, because I've had a friend who'd wait for her husband to come home from work and he wouldn't talk to her. I mean, what sort of marriage is that? I find that desperately lonely.
Not in need of help, yeah, sure. I'm gutted for you, Susan, I really am. I mean, it doesn't strike me as... I mean, there are people I know, we've spoken to them before on the show, that have gone years at a time sometimes without seeing their partner for all kinds of reasons. I've got a friend who likes to work looking at animals in the Antarctic, and he goes 6 months at a time without seeing his partner. If that's what you want, it's what you want, but if you don't want it, it doesn't sound like you do something about it. After the break, we're going to move on to lighter fare, I hope. It depends. Unless you're a passionate child artist, you might hate the next 10 minutes of television. We're asking what you would do with all those fabulous paintings, drawings and potato print masterpieces children produce. Do you frame them? Do you stick a few on the fridge? Do you photocopy them and mail them to your friends, strikers notwithstanding? Or bin the bleeding lot? 0207 173 5555 is the number for your thoughts. What do you do with your children's art? Your calls and nothing but after these ads.
Was the painter of this masterpiece? 5, 10 or 15? Find out after the break.